Hello and welcome to my May 20th, 2026. This is video number 9. In this video, I'm going to be talking about how God designed us because this is something I refer to in most of my videos. And the thing is, when I say God designed us, I mean God designed how we think and even feel and how we experience the biological life experience. And also, God designed everlasting life for us. God designed our lives. Now, we don't know about this. We're not a part of this because Earth is not part of everlasting life yet. But it is due to join everlasting life. So, when I say God designed our lives, it means that God spoils us in everlasting life. We get many of God's gifts, and they are part of our life experience design. And by the way, all of God's gifts, especially the technology that I always talk about, is in part due to our independence from God, so that we never have to ask God for anything. So, what you need to know is that God does not partake in our lives. God leaves us alone to live our lives. And God is also in any way not a part of our universe. God doesn't do anything. I know right now we believe that God's will is everywhere and God decides this and that, but that's not the case. God designs the physical universe to evolve and to evolve life, especially. The only thing that God does is create. But that's always done at the beginning of the universe cycle. That is when God adds matter and creates new solar systems, new planets with life on them, or at least planets that are able to support life on them. The evolution of the planet is as we know it. So everything takes a very long, billions of years for a planet to evolve life, just like it did on the Earth. And so God does this every single beginning of a universe cycle. God always adds, always creates. And when I talk about who God is and where God is and God's intentions, that's part of that, is that God identifies as creator and parent, and we are in God's image in that we are creators and parents. God creates biological intelligence through the universe. God only created biological intelligence through God's power once and will never ever do it again. And that's, of course, his son, Jesus. Jesus was not created through evolution, did not come into existence from parents. That means Jesus has his own completely unique DNA. Jesus is not related to anybody. And so our lives in everlasting life, when I talk about it and you think, well, it's too perfect, she's making it up. No, the reason it's perfect is because God created us and God knows us. God designed our lives. And God knows how to make us happy. And we are very happy in everlasting life. Am I doing it justice? Well, I'm only beginning, so we'll see. So we are in God's image in that we are intelligence. And again, intelligence with a capital I. God is our intelligence father. So God is like the origination of what it means to communicate. God, we communicate on the same level as God. That is how smart we are. And we are made so smart that we understand how God creates the universe. But remember, all living beings are intelligence with a small I, including plants, because plants communicate. It's chemical type communication. But any being that communicates is intelligence, and that's all living beings. All living beings have to receive information somehow. So rocks, inanimate objects, they just have chemistry, like they just react to gravity. But when communication happens, then it is because it's a living being. It's intelligence. So intelligence, us, we have a soul. And this is something I did not believe before the first awakening experience I had. I never believed we had souls. This is what I believed. Firstly, I did not believe in God. But this is what I always said. If there is a God, he is absent, and I'd like to know why. And I thought that, when we die, I pretty much believe in the Big Bang being, created out of this mysterious nothing. And when we die, we just turn to ash, and that's it. We get extinguished upon our death. So when I learned about the God's design, which is something that stems from my first awakening experience, because that one was very technical. I learned we have a soul, and how our soul exists outside of our physical universe. It exists outside of it, so that upon the destruction of our biology, of our vessel, we are safe. Your intelligence is preserved. So your soul is your mind, and there is outside of the universe, in God's dimension, because our souls exist near God, and there's nothing else there, by the way. It needs a space for your soul. So literally, like a universe where all of your memories are stored. The memories is who you are. It's the essence of you. Is when you wake up every morning and you remember who you are, right? So in that way, you can say that your thinking and your thoughts are entangled in with your soul. The experience is biological, though, because when God decided to be creator and parent, because God is not something physical, God is not what we know about life. God is a different kind of an existence. And God exists. And this is why God said, I am that I am. Because God is something else. But God exists. And God decided that its children would be real. So, souls is what makes us God's children. But within our souls, it is a lonely experience because there's no telepathy. Uni-mind verses never penetrate. So the experience in your soul is all based on you, who you are, what you think. And therefore, God created the universe for its children, the souls, and gave them biology, gave them the physical universe where life is real. And I made a video, Blueprint of the Universe. And this is a very important video because if it can be proved that my theory is correct and physicality exists only in the present, that's why it's the present everywhere, anywhere you go in the universe. It's always going to be the present. That is very important. If we can prove that the past and the future are non-physical, they're just different states of the universe, but matter exists only in the present, it will prove so many things that are so important. And it will prove that you are real. So right now, scientists are walking around, some of them, theorizing that there's no such thing as reality. Everything's kind of like a hologram, and this is not a real life. It is. It's as real as it can get. And this is why we need to prove that the present moment happens once in infinity. That's how unique it is, and that's what makes it real. So when God decided to be creator and parent, it decided that its children would be real, and it knows us so well. It knew that we are designed in that intelligence needs intelligence. We need each other. During the end of a universe cycle, God withdraws our souls to reprogram and restart the universe. And so we experience our existences within our Unimindverse. And although we can make it fun, because we can create anything, it is a lonely experience and we don't like it. We like our physical lives. We love our physical lives. And this is why we are showered with God's gifts in everlasting life. We receive so many gifts. But souls are genderless. We have biology, but your biology is a vessel for your intelligence. Your soul is genderless. So your body is not your temple. Your mind is your temple. But you have to take care of your biology to take care of your mind, of course. And this is how we experience who we are, is through thinking, feeling, belief. And children do this as well. So you may remember something happening, let's say something that shocked you, and then you would be in bed that night and you'd be thinking about it, and then you'd start developing feelings toward what you're thinking, and then you would form a belief about that event. And we do this all the time. Beliefs are always able to be challenged and changed. And beliefs are truths you choose to believe about everything. When I say everything, I mean down to the way you drive, how you eat, how you do anything. There is nothing that you do that goes against your beliefs. Everything you do is because you made the belief that that is the way to live. Exceptions in beliefs are just new beliefs. So, for example, you don't believe in taking somebody's life, but you believe in capital punishment. So those are two beliefs, because the belief would be, I don't believe in taking somebody's life except when they commit a horrific crime. So you do believe in killing somebody, right? So those are two different beliefs. And know that before my experience, I did not believe this, but know that capital punishment goes against God's one law. That's why I'm against it now. The reason is that you took away somebody's free will to self-judge and self-redeem by doing good deeds. You took away their chance to change. Because God's forgiveness is ultimate. It doesn't matter what people have done in the past. If they self-judge and self-redeem, they will receive everlasting life, and they will receive God's forgiveness. And God's forgiveness is ultimate. This is why proving my theory about the mechanics of time is part of this, because it also proves that there is no physical past. And on Judgment Day, whether that's your death day or the Judgment Day, you receive God's forgiveness. And then God chooses to forget everything negative about you. And even God cannot then look upon the past to see anything negative about you. God only knows you as a good person who did those good deeds. And then when you wake up in everlasting life, you too will remember only your good deeds. So capital punishment kills essentially God's children who would then go on to everlasting life and have children and live an infinity. So whatever crime they've done, they will live so much longer, an infinity of a good, happy life. So we are designed to self-talk, and that's how we self-program. We do this all the time. I've known this for 10 years, and I'm aware of this now, but you still do it all the time, where you, in your thoughts, some people do this out loud, but self-talk is majority of the time based on questioning and answering. So we have questions and then we answer them. You can ask a question as anybody, answer as yourself, or vice versa. And this is how the devil persona was born. It was due to shame and guilt shock. And I'll talk about that below. But you can talk to yourself in any person's, first person, second, third, plural. It's free will. It's limitless. So God designed us to be free-willed, and that means to be free-willed from God. And because we're free-willed from God, we're free-willed from each other. This is why God made telepathy impossible. So no, aliens are not telepathic. I don't know why we always believe that. But we're designed with free will, and God has given all of its children 2 gifts: shame and guilt, and seek your creator. You cannot run away from these. We all have them. Okay? So I know you're thinking, well, there's people who do horrific things that don't have shame and guilt. It's still shame and guilt, even when they're, for example, feel pride in not feeling shame and guilt. So it might give them joy to do something horrible and not feel shame and guilt. It's still shame and guilt. It's just free-willed on any level. So when you are neutral, that's still shame and guilt. That thought still occurs to you. How do I feel about this? Do I feel shame? Do I feel happy about it? Do I feel bad about it? That's inherent in us. We cannot escape it. And seek your creator merely means that, for infant intelligence at least, we cannot go through life without asking who created it all and answering. And this, because thinking, feeling, belief can always change, right? So beliefs are able to be always challenged and changed. And the process of thinking, feeling, belief is always in that order. So you never make a belief and then have a feeling and then think about it. You never have a feeling, form a belief, and then think about it. You're always thinking, feeling, belief. Always in that order. It's in our design. And also, seek your creator means that God does not seek us. God will never ever approach you first, except if you are on an infinite intelligence planet and you are from everlasting life. And I will talk about how God designed it. so that we from everlasting life help him raise infant intelligence, because it's designed around free will again. So there's that exception, and there's another exception, and this is because your children are God's children, and God helps us raise our children and in everlasting life. This means that God babysits. God babysits. If you are home alone and you're doing dishes, your toddler's in a crib upstairs, and they get out and their life is in danger, then God will seek you first. And it is jarring because of how God communicates with us. And the communication with God is always verbal. There's no other kind of communication. So during my experiences, I never had any kind of a metaphysical connection to God. There was never any connection to God. I never experienced, as people say, God's love. I was filled with no. That would be against my free will if I felt God's person, not personal, because God is not a person, but God's own emotions. And God does feel love. In fact, during my second awakening, I asked God, and always talk to God out loud, because God does not read our minds, but God can hear. Why? What does God get out of being creator and parent? And the memory of the answer was, God gains the expression of love. So, seek your creator means, even in everlasting life, that we have to seek God. So we have to say out loud, Father, I wish to speak with you. And then the communication is verbal, like I said. We are face to God's infinite image. We see a point, when we say that, we see a point of light, and a screen appears, not too big. And there is the image of Father. God is nameless. God does not have a name. And then we communicate with God verbally. And by the way, the image of Father is always a torso, always a white background, nothing there. And Father is just wearing a long sleeve black shirt. Kind of like I am, but it's black. We never see, and it's a man in his, I would say, 45 years old, dark hair. And that image is an image that God chose for itself when it chose to be creator and parent, and it knows us so well that it knew we would need to have an image of what it is, what our creator is. And then God chose the image of Father. God chose to look like us. So God is in our image. We are in the image of God in that we are intelligence. It's not funny. We always thought that the image was all about physicality, but it's not. But funnily enough, God is in our image physically. So, like I said, we are designed to self-talk, and we are pre-programmed with shame and guilt and seek a creator. And therefore, we go through something that's I named shame and guilt shock. And shame and guilt shock is when terrible things are maybe happening in your mind, terrible thoughts, or you see something terrible, and then you go into shock because you just feel like that moral code of it being wrong, and you feel bad, and that creates shame and guilt shock. And if you're having disturbing thoughts, then because we're designed to self-talk, this is how the devil persona came into existence. and angels too. So not all experiences with God were real. And I'm gonna talk more about that when I talk about how the experience, how the communication with God was, and the mistake I made, which is I stopped talking to God out loud. I actually believed I was having a telepathic connection to God, and then things went downhill. So this is something I kind of want to get off my chest too, because um, there was a few people that I was acting crazy. So if they think I'm crazy, they're right. I was. And this is also why my first experience lasted 5 months. I learned a hard lesson. I'll get into that in another video. It would make a really good book, because, okay, there's no secrets, I'm not, but basically, during my first awakening, I learned what the Judgment Day and the Awakening Era was, but I stopped talking to God, and I started to believe there was something. Well, Judgment Day was always Judgment Day, but I started to believe the Awakening Era was going to be something completely different because I started to self-talk. Because I stopped talking to God out loud and I stopped receiving memories. I started to make stuff up. So shame and guilt drives us to question our behavior. And so when we talk to ourselves, we seek to blame someone else because we feel negative. We feel that guilt and shame. And we just simply cannot believe that we are the creator of those thoughts and ideas. Thus we seek to blame. And this is how the angel, bad angel, the devil persona was created. But also, is that the kind of God you want? And believe me when I say, you have the kind of God that you want. God knows us and knows what kind of a God we want. So, do you really want a God that would create these entities that not only worship him, because I guess he's really vain, which God, Father is not vain at all, and sing songs about him and to him, and then bad angels who are jealous of us and who he casts out, and all this drama? And do you really want that? Do you really want entities to be in our minds and whisper and make us do bad things? Do you really want your soul to be nothing more than a currency between God and the devil? Like basically, they have bags and they collect souls. Do you really want all that drama? No, we don't. We just want to live our lives. We want to have families. We want to go on vacations, you know, swimming and hiking and fishing. And, some people like to hunt. And in EL, we still hunt. You can live any way you want in everlasting life. You don't have to use the technology, but because you live for infinity, you'll go back and forth. You're never bored in EL, by the way. But do you really want not to have free will? Because God created these entities that influence and reshape your free will by confusing you and making you think that your thoughts are your own, that their thoughts are your own. Sorry. No, I that's ridiculous. And then do you want this heaven, which is just like a fake projection of what we truly love, which is the real life? Feeling the breeze on a hot day, hearing the birds, hearing the rain. It's raining today. No, we don't want that. You have the kind of God you want. And everlasting life is designed by God. And it is known as the happiness formula. That's what God named it. Everlasting life is the happiness formula. Because God knows how to make us happy. So we are so free-willed that we are self-judging. God does not judge, and Jesus won't be back to judge either. You have to self-judge while you're alive. There's no purgatory again, none of that. This is it. You have to self-judge and self-redeem by doing good deeds. And Jesus told us this. And of course, don't have slaves. God does not allow us to enslave each other. So God is ruler of the universe and rules the universe with just one law. And we follow this law in everlasting life as well. Thou shalt not prevent nor hinder the free will of anyone. Thou shalt not enslave anyone to your will. It's that simple. And God follows this law as well. 100%. God exists by it. This is part of the reason why God made telepathy impossible. Now, that being said, God has the ability to be telepathic with us. But we have to give him verbal permission. That doesn't mean you can just say right now, God, you can read my mind. No, you have to either be face to God's infinite image or soul to God's infinite image. So when we're soul to God's infinite image, God withdraws our souls from our biology. We are in God's dimension, remember? That's the same dimension where God exists. And then you can see Father's infinite image. And then God needs to ask you, soul to God's infinite image, do I have your permission? And some of this, a lot of this, only happens during the infant intelligence part. When we help God raise infant intelligence, God prepares us. And it's all part of it. The design is all around free will, but also, and by the way, if you're wondering, well, why isn't Earth part of EL already? The reason being is because Earth, the evolution of our human beings is new. That means it's brand new DNA. It's diversity. And we need that in everlasting life. But 99.99% of people who exist in the universe, and all alien intelligence are human beings, just different races, are born in everlasting life. So when you join EL, it's always going to be when you meet somebody new and you learn about each other, you're going to tell them, I was born infant intelligence, and they will find you incredible, because everybody knows how hard it is to resist the intelligence virus, for some people anyways, and that you could have died. It's life or death. And if you choose to die because you have slaves and you did not self-judge and do good deeds to choose yourself for everlasting life, then you die on Judgment Day, whether that's your death day or the Judgment Day. And then God forgets you. God lets you go. And then those who survived also let you go. And in that way, because there's no physical past upon which God can even look upon, you cease to have ever existed. You will cease to exist. And so the thing is there is no intelligence virus in everlasting life. I'm not saying you're not you. You're still you. But just God, when God cleanses our soul on Judgment Day, we let go of all negative experiences, memories, thoughts, self-hatred, any of those things, and including people who chose to die. We let go of that. I'm not saying we don't make mistakes in EL, but we've always followed the one law. We teach it to children too. And remember, God helps raise our children. So we are so free-willed, we have to self-judge and self-choose everlasting life. God does not choose. You cannot go to God and be like, be my judge, and explain yourself and, try to um, gain sympathy and empathy. None of that is true. So let's talk about combined intelligence. So when I'm sitting here and telling you about everlasting life, I'm sharing the combined intelligence from everlasting life. The combined intelligence is everything you know about everything you think you know, and everything you think you know about everything everyone else knows. So it's really important for society to agree on reality and know that everlasting life culture is it's universal. So we all agree about the design. We all we all have the same combined intelligence. And culture always pertains to fashion and things like that. It doesn't pertain about beliefs about reality. And we all, uh, in everlasting life, sorry, infant intelligence have all different combined intelligence everywhere. That's why we're fighting, because we're like, this is the truth, this is the truth, this is the truth. And of course, the intelligence virus, which is control and manipulation, you know, it's just, and on the earth, the intelligence virus is very, very prevalent. And those are God's own words to me. During my first awakening, I had the memory of God saying, nothing was ever meant to be so mysterious. It's just that the intelligence virus is very prevalent on the earth. And ain't that the truth? And that was repeated to me in a memory several times until I realized, oh, maybe this is significant. And I wrote it down. So, so instead of telepathy, we have combined intelligence. But your combined intelligence is something that's taught to you when you're a child. But then when you become an adult, it's your own responsibility to add to. And of course, there's a saying, the more I know, the more I realize that I don't know. And that this is true always. And whenever we're learning about societies, we always include how people thought, right? What people think. And that's part of it's like the hive mind, right? It's like there's no telepathy, but we have this hive mind that's combined intelligence. So, especially in physics, they always talk about reality. Reality this, reality that. Reality is not real. Reality is a hologram. But I'm defining reality as physicality. Matter is reality. That means an atom floating in space is reality. Space itself is not reality. So there's two kinds of truths. There's matter, physicality, which is the truth. But then there's your truths. And your truths you don't owe anybody. So it's okay to lie about yourself to others. So I know there's a movie where people OCD tell, each other everything true about themselves, that you don't even want to know. Well, that's not, lying is about yourself is not a sin. But if you bear false witness about something that physically happened, then that's the intelligence virus. That's the lie. So yeah, sixth sense. We always thought it pertained to ghosts and supernatural stuff, but we do have a sixth sense. Our sixth sense is to recognize pattern in all of the other five senses. I'm going to close my window because it's getting kind of loud. So it's not really that exciting, I guess, but it is the reason why we discovered the entire universe. Why we have math and all the scientists. So how thinking happens. So intelligence is words. Remember, intelligence with a capital I, that's us. This is why God said, I am word. And I don't know, did Jesus say I am word? So basically that was probably said because the word intelligence was not yet in existence. But God was saying, I am intelligence. Jesus said, I am intelligence, and we are intelligence too. So you can say, I am word. So God is not such that I am word means what I say. No, God is not like that. God is absent. In absentia, unless you seek God, God only adds and only creates the universe. Adds to the universe at every universe cycle. And by the way, when God reprograms and recreates everlasting life for us at the beginning of a new cycle, it's always exactly the same as it was in the last cycle, down to the last speck of dust. It's a perfect recreation. So writers are the shepherds, readers are the sheep. So when Jesus said, I am the good shepherd, it was because Jesus knew what he said, his words were going to be written. And that means that it's okay to copy and paste Jesus's thinking, feeling, beliefs. Jesus is the good writer. So whenever you absorb information through language, whether you're watching a movie or the news or having a conversation, reading something, you are a sheep. So brainwashing happens when people copy thinking, feeling, beliefs, somebody else's. And it's important to add that these may be based on something that they have never experienced themselves. So they're literally making a copy of themselves, of the person. So languages are really important, actually, in how we express ourselves. Therefore, how people experience thinking, feeling, and belief can be influenced by the language. And now's the fun part. 4 types of thoughts. Every word has a feeling attached to it. So every word is like a program. Remember, we self-talk, and words are like the program that we use to self-talk. So in that way, words are like switches, but you program every word. So even neutral words. This is why some words may trigger one person and the other one won't care, right? Because we're self-programming. And we all think in these 4 types of thoughts. Word thoughts, which is, of course, self-explanatory, right? Picture thoughts, which is also self-explanatory. So that's when you wake up and you have a picture thought of where you left your house coat, or picture thought of the coffee maker, and you're like, oh yeah, it's the first thing I want to do is make coffee, right? But we also use picture thought when we try to remember something, and when we do math. Now we get to flash thoughts. Flash thoughts are very powerful thoughts. They are like in the moment passion thoughts, and they are short. So they're about like 2-3 second movie clips in your mind. For example, the negative ones is you hear that trigger word and you have a flash thought of, swatting somebody. And then you decide whether you do it or you ignore the flash thought. Or the opposite, when your child does something really cute and you have a flash thought of giving them a hug, and then you decide, do you do it? Daydream thoughts. Of course, daydream thoughts are very powerful. This is when we plan and design our futures, and also when we make discoveries, and when we're creative is in our daydream thoughts. And of course, those are long thoughts that can, some people live in their daydream thoughts. So some people kind of have to if their lives are really tough, right? So in all of these thoughts, we can self-program. So music in everlasting life, music is huge. We love our musicians and singers. Love music. We have so many concerts in everlasting life, and some of them are broadcast because we do have like the internet, but it's universal, so it's the Uninet, literally broadcast universe wide. And musicians and songwriters have music has the ability to change our thinking, feeling, belief, or at least even affect it. Therefore, it speaks to our souls. It is soul speak. That's why we think of music as soul speak in everlasting life. And it is true here as well. So the combination of these ways of thinking is what we all share, how our thinking works, and how God designed us. Just going to leave this for a quick read. Okay, lastly, let's talk about obsessive compulsive disorder, which we all have some kind of a negative OCD, but we are also made up of OCO, obsessive compulsive order. So OCO is, of course, when, why you get up and go to work every day, why you feed your kids everywhere and your pets, why you clean your house. So it's the positive daily thoughts, repetitive daily thoughts and tasks that you do. And OCD is, of course, the negative. Now, I suffered from OCD. It was a physical OCD when I was a teen. I'm still doing it. It is something that I can do without anybody knowing, and only like a couple of people know about this. And that's I OCD finger wrote everything. And when I was a teenager, I think I was 12 to 14, I was doing it to the point where it was driving me nuts. I could not focus. And so I had to heal myself of OCD, and I'll talk about how we can do that below. But so of course OCO and OCD is kind of like how we balance our lives, and whether we do more OCD or OCO things. And of course OCT is obsessive compulsive thinking, obsessive compulsive thoughts. And so OCT would be classified as what we call mental illnesses. So what I'm trying to do is divide mental illnesses into two, which is biological mental illnesses, which is like what people are born with, and it's physical. And this would include Down syndrome, and even later on in life, dementia. But PTSD and all those kinds of mental disorders would then be OCT, obsessive compulsive thinking. So it's not because your biology is ill, It's because it's the thinking. And of course, this is something that God will remove when God cleanses our souls. But know that OCO, obsessive compulsive order, uh, that is what our passion is built on. Is that, and I know this from experience when I was, well, I used to say OCD style, you know, when I was like playing tennis and I just wouldn't stop, and I tried everybody to to play with me, and I was just so into it. Or I was really into my writing. So something can take over your life and you do it to the point where you forget to eat, sleep, and you forget what day it is and stuff like that. That's okay. That's passion. That's how we actually live in everlasting life, and it's okay to do, because that's when we're very creative. And of course, musicians, they experience this as well. Oh, we would not have such a diverse society without people who have OCO of things like, when they make discoveries like Einstein. So just a quick read. So this is how if you have OCD, you can heal yourself. And this is not anything new, but this is something that I had to do. First of all, you must hate it. So you must hate your OCD. You must want to get rid of it. Nobody can make you do it. Medicine can't make you do it. You must hate it. So, oh, but I should take that back, okay? Medicine can definitely help, but it is not, it is, you know what they say about medicine. It's not it takes care of the symptoms, but it doesn't solve the problem, right? And I'm talking about OCT. Um, so nothing goes against your beliefs. So thoughts, feelings, beliefs. So if you love your OCD because maybe you're getting attention for it, you're getting those good drugs, you don't have to work. Maybe, you know, maybe you made some friends because of it. If those kinds of things prevent you from healing yourself, then you will not be ready. You must uh, go limp. So when I felt my physical OCD happening, I would just relax. So physically going limp helps with just resetting your mind, and it also helps with anger. So you cannot be limp and angry at the same time. This is why meditation is very helpful in many ways. Daydream. You have to mentally prepare yourself. So you have to go through the steps. It's really easy to forget to go limp when you're mad. All that can just go poof out the window. So you have to meditate and mentally prepare yourself. So daydreaming is part of that planning your future and self-programming. And number 4, distracting yourself. Very, very, my favorite one actually. I don't do the other ones as much as I like to distract myself. And that's, watching a documentary on dinosaurs, crocheting, you know, um, even writing and learning something new has always been very helpful, especially when you're in your mind. And, your world becomes kind of really small by you're not expanding your mind to other new things. So learning something new is definitely one of the better ways of healing yourself of OCD. And you can also talk to God. If you have OCD thoughts, and some of them can be disturbing, confess them to God. The worst thing that humanity did is start confessing these thoughts to each other, because that's how the intelligence virus is spread. That's why it's called the intelligence virus, because it's the virus of thinking. It's virus thinking. I don't know why I say things twice sometimes. It's so annoying. So 5, exercise, of course, nothing new, is exercise is good for the mind. Whether you even just go for a walk, or clean your house, or just get down in front of your TV and work out to a YouTube video. Oh, okay, so this is the lastly thing, is that we are all hoarders. So we all have something that we hoard. So whether you're maybe you're a philosopher and you hoard thoughts. Some people are image hoarders, and that's your celebrities, politicians, class clowns, teenagers. Money hoarders, of course. Some people hoard animals, others hoard attention, others can even hoard emotion, anger, pity, religion, creativity. So that's it for now. This is it. This is our design that we cannot escape. It's obviously we know ourselves a little bit, so not a little bit, but I'm kind of getting tired. So we already know a lot of this, but I hope you did learn something, and I hope to see you soon. I'm gonna make a video about what the experience communicating with God was like, and have a good day. Peace.